Welcome to Success Redefined with Dr. Toni Warner. I'm Dr. Toni, mom of five, psychotherapist, author, and mentor. Here, you're going to find insightful discussions spanning science, psychology, and soul as the personal and professional meet, and we explore the intersection of what really matters. So success can be redefined with connection, healing, and fulfillment in mind. Today I have Katie K. May with me, and Katie, I have to say, so the reason I thought that your values aligned with the vision of this podcast was because I often see you show up on social media in a way that I think the best way I can describe it is this unwavering realness.
Cool. I feel seen in that description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. And I think that right now, especially, and for the past decade, like in our world, I think we need more of that, this unwavering realness. But it can be so hard to do that and to feel safe in doing that, whether it's
Yeah.
online, as a therapist, as a leader, as a parent. Like it can feel difficult to do that in so many different ways. So I am glad to have you here because I think that we're going to have a really rich conversation around this way that you are able to show up with this unwavering realness.
Thank you. I mean, thanks for bringing me into this conversation because that exact topic is one that I'm so passionate about for like a variety of reasons that we can unpack today. But I do very much see my place in this world and my family as like the person who says the things that other people can't say, are afraid to say, get punished if they say. And so you being able to reflect back to me what I'm hoping to put out there feels really powerful to me.
This is going to be such a good conversation. Right. All right. Let me share a bit about your book. I'm going to do a blast to your book. And I'll read a little bit about your bio to give folks an idea of who you are, and then we'll hop into the conversation. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
All right. Once upon a time, I was a teen on fire. Back then, I numbed my pain with self-harm, drug use, shoplifting, sneaking out, anything to escape the overwhelming feelings that I carried every day. An unexpected pregnancy in my 20s finally brought my pain into perspective, setting me on a path to break the generational cycle of hurt and reclaim a life I could fully embrace. In that process, I found my calling, helping others navigate the very struggles that I faced. Today, as both a parent of a teenager and a specialist in teen harm, I understand how challenging it is to support teens with complex emotions. My mission is to help teens see they are not weird, they are not bad, they are not broken for feeling the way they do, and to help parents create an environment where their teens feel deeply understood, fully accepted, and empowered to manage their emotions in healthy ways. I share these insights through the framework of my best-selling book, You're on Fire, It's Fine: Effective Strategies for Parenting Teens with Self-Destructive Behaviors. That excerpt says so much about you and your story, and of course, the book itself. And I can resonate with it on so many levels. I haven't gotten it yet, but I will be getting it. And I loved seeing you share about it on social media. How is it to, like, I'm sure you've had this read back to you many times at this point, but how was it for me to read that to you and for you to hear that reflected back? It's out in the world for people to hear and it take in.
So I've read that multiple times, but to have someone read it to me, there was a second when I was like, damn, did I write that? That's good. Like, which is also something that's just like now my inner voice wasn't always. My husband's like, it's always like unicorns and fairies repeating things back to you in your head. And it is now. So I hear that and I'm like, wow, what a like strong, courageous, powerful story. And then it comes back to, oh, wait, that's me. Like the little girl that went through that would be so proud of who you are now. So that's the kinds of things that come up when I hear it stated back to me.
Oh, I love that. And I also had an unexpected pregnancy in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Also felt very much like an outsider, this black sheep. So I resonate with so much of your story and what you share with the world, which is again why I think this is going to be such a powerful conversation for us to have.
Amazing. I'm excited.
All right, so Katie is a DBT Lenahan Board of Certified, a certified clinician, and she's also the owner, the executive director of Creative Healing. It's a teen support center. She has, is that in addition to teen support centers, or that is the whole hub of the teen support centers?
That is the Teen Support Center. So we have two locations in the Philadelphia area.
Do you do virtual work as well?
We do, state of Pennsylvania and Florida, and some of our therapists, some other places, but yes, virtual as well.
Okay, awesome. I think that'd be helpful for people to know and hear. Katie has helped thousands of teens understand and manage their intense emotions, working through depression, anxiety, self-harm. And for mental practice owners, she also provides strategies to build sustainable, data-driven systems through her Stabilize and Scale framework. And she guides leaders in creating strong, skilled teams and implementing efficient processes that make decision-making easier and more effective. Having scaled her own practice to 7 figures in under 5 years, she has supported over 60 other group practices in establishing similar systems, allowing them to run smoothly and serve clients effectively, which the ripple effect of that kind of work, I mean, countless, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's important also to add that I have a co-founder in that business. Her name is Shailene Kite. So we share the successes and responsibilities in that business. But yeah, over 60 practice owners have been through the program. And I always say they came for the course and they stayed for the community. And it's very true. It is a community of very high achieving, focused, intentional leaders. And it's not only the place where I teach, but now it's the place where I go and I get my own support. So that's kind of cool to see, like everyone brings their strengths to this place.
What struck me when you were just sharing about that was the emphasis on the community and how powerful it is to feel like you have a sense of community, what a gift that is to be able to offer that in your program, but also you have shared before that you felt like the black sheep growing up.
Yeah.
To feel like the black sheep and then be able to somehow establish this sense of community,
Hmm.
it just feels like such a healing journey, but also so like it's such a challenge. It must have been such a challenging journey to navigate this sense of like I feel like an outsider, and yet there's this sense of community that I'm able to build and connect with now.
And I remember the moment that it changed because you're right. Growing up, I mean, I felt like the black sheep, but I really do feel like I was the black sheep. I grew up in an Irish Catholic family where feelings weren't talked about, where I suspect as an adult and a therapist, there was a lot more mental health and neurodivergence in that family than anyone knew about, talked about, would be willing to admit, even if I brought it to their attention now. And so I grew up as a kid with a lot of big emotions, high sensitivity, and basically, everything that I expressed was weird, bad, wrong, or different. You heard that in my mission. And what I want to do for other teens is help them not feel weird, bad, wrong, or different. So that was the message that I got again and again in my childhood and, in my teen years after my mom left, all these things. So there was a lot of like, you're not good enough, you don't belong. And then when I became a therapist and I found the online space and the coaching space and I started making connections, what I realized pretty quickly is that the things that I was saying and doing weren't weird, bad, wrong, and different. I just had the wrong people surrounding me to reinforce who I was and what I loved and what I was doing. And so it really was the online space and then going to conferences and meeting people like me who were open about mental health, who were likely neurodivergent, who loved therapy and business building and all these other things. But I was like, like it was such a corrective experience for me because I was anxious going into those, like socially anxious, etc. And then to have other people just really like validate and normalize who I am was very healing.
Mm. When you shifted from being in this family, this environment where very much, that black sheep experience was your day-to-day life.
Mhm.
And then you have this latter portion of your life where you have this sense of community, and it's weird, but in a good way, different, but in a good way, right? Like
Yeah.
neurodivergent in like all of the good ways, and it's welcome. Um, would you say that there were some really clear barriers that got in the way or made it hard to allow yourself to receive that corrective, that more healing experience?
I'm thinking that through because I think I can see the progression in my life from being in the online space and, initially being very shame prone and sensitive to that. Any kind of feedback, if it was I made a post and I had the wrong wording and someone said something, I'd like have an urge to delete it or take it down, or I'd spiral and be depressed for the rest of the day. And so I really do think there was this personal growth trajectory from that place of I'm showing up in new ways to I'm able to be myself and attract people that want to support me or be around me, but that's not going to be for everyone. I really do think there was this moment that, so I can remember it clearly. I was taking my then child, they were probably 8, to a Christmas party that one of their friends was having. It was like they invited all the other families from the elementary school to this big house for a party. And I had been writing because naturally I'm a writer and like that's where I start everything from is I'm writing and I'm, thinking about things. Um, so I was writing this story about Christmas, and Christmas used to be a really hard time for me because that's when my mom left and there was a lot of parentified responsibilities that I ended up picking up on and really losing my childhood around that time. So I wrote this story about that. It was the first time I wrote one of those personal stories that I share on Facebook all the time now. And I decided to hit post right before we went into this party. I wanted to throw up. It was my vomit moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm putting something out there that's so personal and people might see me in a different way. And I'm not sure about how I'm going to be perceived and the narrative and all that. And then I didn't look at my phone for maybe 4 hours because I was socializing at a party. And when I got back in my car, I must have had 60 comments under it and support and people direct messaging me and saying, I can relate to this, or I've had experiences like this. And so there really was this moment of like, wow, the things that you want to say are things that people want to hear. And that I think shifted everything for me.
What helps you do that? And let me give a little bit of backdrop. So I think there are more people out there, particularly in our field, in the mental health field, that have had this black sheep experience, myself included.
Mhm.
And inherent in that black sheep experience is no one understand, like I'm alone, right? No,
Yeah.
no one gets it. No one could possibly understand me and my experience. Like by definition, it feels isolating and alone.
Mhm.
And yet there are others who have, and it's their own experience, right? It's not a comparison thing, but there are others who do have that black sheep experience as well. And it can be really difficult to then grow up with this black sheep experience, being a high achiever, having a bunch of goals, pushing yourself for success, and even hitting a bunch of milestones, but then feeling alone in it all or misunderstood in it all. Um, and I'm curious about what has helped you behind the scenes. What has helped you in the background to keep stepping in more and more and more, right? Into that place of really owning and loving and sharing just your realness, right? Like who you are, despite those wounds that have happened that have made it difficult in the past.
I have to answer this in two ways because to some extent, if I'm honest, it's just who I am. It's what got me in trouble all the time when I was younger, like saying the thing that no one else was saying. Like, isn't this weird that my mom left and nobody's talking about it and you're all just acting like everything's normal? Isn't this weird? And then getting in trouble for that. Like, we're not supposed to talk about the thing that's uncomfortable. So to some extent, it's just me and my values and my discomfort of not saying the thing that needs to be said. But then the other side of that is I very much see this black sheep experience as a shame-based experience. The idea of I don't belong, I don't fit in, I'm not good enough to be accepted. There's this underlying shame that comes with that. And when we stay hidden, when we stay quiet, we keep that shame in place, we maintain it. And so what I see as I'm actually doing a presentation on this soon is posting on social media is the antidote to shame because we're saying the thing out loud and we're allowing others who want to hear that message, who are thinking that message, to flock to that message. So we become a beacon for others and we create community rather than staying silent and feeling siloed and like we don't belong.
Yeah. So I'll put myself on the spot here. So
Mhm.
one of my heart wounds has been, but no one cares anyway, right? So when if that part of me is activated and I'll be posting something really real because that's very much in alignment with my core values as well.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes I have in the past, I have deleted it or I have been like, oh, no one cares anyway. So I maybe muddled down the message or I don't want to offend someone. So maybe I change some wording or whatever the case is. Have you ever had that experience and or have you ever supported someone, another mental health professional or leader who's like this is my experience and it's a barricade to me wanting to like keep moving in this direction?
Yes. So the answer to both of them is yes, that I have had that experience. And I, for the most part, do not act on those urges to water things down because I believe that those are, I'll use a therapy term, but like safety behaviors. If we're feeling anxious and we really want to dive into the deep end, but we're going to keep our swimmies on, then we're not truly diving into the deep end. And so the experience is just a little bit different. And I would venture, and I've helped a lot of other therapists in terms of social media marketing and really just like ripping that band-aid off, like do a video, put yourself out there, be imperfect. And I think that's what it comes down to is it's so vulnerable to put yourself out there, to be seen, to say something in a way, and this is a big trigger for me is to be misunderstood. I said it this way, but you took it this way, and therefore you're not understanding what I'm saying. But I really do think that in order to achieve greatness, you need to be willing to be misunderstood. And this is something I see a lot leading a team day to day. On any given day, I'm leading around 20 people and 20 employees in my practice. They don't all like me. They don't all like the decisions that I'm making. And I have to be okay with that because I have a North Star, I have a goal, I have a mission, I have something that I'm moving towards. And anything, I mean, of course, I'm like receiving feedback and I'm open to being wrong and all of those things. But if it's just like, I'm unhappy with this, well, I've been clear about what I can offer. And you need to be clear about whether you want to stay or you want to go. So I think there's a lot of personal work that needs to be done around being seen, being misunderstood, that deeper level. I do think that when I did a lot of my own work from my family of origin, a lot of that like abandonment, black sheep type work, that I was able to show up even more in the online space or in any space, in the leadership space, and in my parenting without worrying about whether I, did something to invalidate or having to overcompensate so that my child was okay, those sort of things. It's all a growth edge and we only know once we know. So you get the feedback from your environment and then you adjust and you keep going and it's not perfect.
Yeah. I love what you said about it being shame-based. I agree. Um, would you, what would you say therapeutically, right? So you're a mental health therapist as well as other, you're a consultant, you're a business owner, you're a mom, you're a lot of role, you fulfill a lot of roles. Um, let's see if we can get an idea like mental health wise, because I know
Yeah.
you and I both do some less traditional mental health therapies. Would you say that the beyond conventional therapies were a helpful either tool in your toolbox or part of your journey as you healed some of the black sheep experiences that were affecting you?
I would say absolutely. And I'm a lifelong in and out of therapy person. Like I go when I have a goal and a problem I want to solve, and then I relax for a while and I process on my own. So I've been in and out of therapy, and more recently, I found accelerated resolution therapy, and I had a really positive personal experience with that, and have been able to use it as a tool to recognize when I go to work and somebody makes like a nuanced face that I perceive as they're disapproving of me, that brings up a lot of stuff for me. So let me go work on that so that I can show up at work and not be personalizing someone's bad day or neutral face that I perceived as, not neutral. And so I think it comes back to that self-awareness of what are my triggers, what's showing up in my day-to-day that's at a level of intensity perhaps that's greater than I would like to see it for my experience, and how can I work on that to show up differently?
This sense of self-awareness, self-accountability, but without criticizing yourself in like an unhealthy way, without harshly condemning yourself. You know, it sounds like you're able to be aware and also have care for yourself at the same time.
Yeah, I really do think about, I'm thinking right now about where we're doing college visits for my child, and they've talked a lot about like wanting to have these different experiences. Of course, I want to live in a dorm. That's the college experience. And so I think about the struggles that they've had and why that's a very bold and courageous choice for them. And it makes me think about how both my child and myself go through the world really looking at it like this is the experience, and I get the feedback from this experience to shape my next step, to make decisions. Um, I don't know if this is making sense, but yeah, so I'm going through life. If I have this experience, that's a data point. I'm going to use that to improve rather than get down on what help would it be to get down on myself? I just feel worse.
Yeah, so instead of taking the information and making it evidence for furthering, whatever the unhelpful thought is, you are taking it as some data, but then you're filtering it through to figure
Exactly.
this is helping me. So, all right. We know there are a lot of folks in the mental health services and the health and human services in general, whether it's a therapist or a doctor or a nurse or an
Mhm.
educator. We have so many professionals in those fields,
Yeah.
and they're all human. And they all come with their own histories, right? Their own experiences, their own challenges, their own wounds, their own all these things. They want to feel like they have a sense of purpose and also like they have some semblance of balance within themselves and their lives.
Yeah.
Of those that you have helped, that you have led and served, what would you say are the things, the number one or number two things that helps them move in that direction, given especially this might be too much. So you tell me if it's too much. Sometimes I get a little bit
I'm
complex.
following. You're good.
Especially in this political landscape that we are like navigating right now that has so many divisive layers to it
Mhm.
and is very intense for a lot of people, right? So that backdrop is just so very real. So I would just want to acknowledge that it's here, it's in the room, it's in our environment, right? It affects all of us in different ways. So
Yeah.
with that backdrop in mind, do you have like a top one or two?
I have a metaphor, and I use this metaphor a lot when I'm consulting, but it came from my own really reflection on what I needed, but I think it's very applicable here. So I used to see my life as I'm balancing on top of a rolling beach ball. And all I want is for this beach ball to stop rolling so that I can finally relax. When you think about all of the roles and professions that you just talked about, there is no stopping that rolling beach ball. And so what I recognized instead was that I had to learn how to find peace and balance on top of a rolling beach ball. And
Mm.
so it's not changing my environment to these perfect conditions where I can finally be happy, relax, not have stress. It's learning how to live within the conditions that I have right now so that I can be my best self.
Do you ever feel fear when you post something online that does have like an intense tone to it that someone else might not agree with or someone might feel offended by, even though that's not your intention?
Most of what I share is through the lens of my personal experience. And so, how could that be wrong? Someone might disagree with it, but this is my experience of life. This is what I went through. And I do think it's important to note that I never post when I'm in the heat of an emotion, that I'm always on the processed end of something when I'm sharing it online. And so I'm not, rage posting or anxiety posting or things like that, because those are the times in the spaces when I'm sitting back, when I'm having conversations with my family, when I'm reflecting, when I'm, learning and processing. I just don't, that's not what I want to give to the
Mm.
world. I want to be able to give the part of myself that has the processed experience and the lesson that I can pass on if there is a lesson, or, the personal growth that maybe someone else can resonate with. But my social media is not my journal or my therapist. It's my space for my writing and sharing. If you know.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying in the in the background of all of this is you have a really strong support system for yourself.
Mhm.
period. What, and now that may vary day to day, how you access it or what, which parts of it you use, but it sounds
Yeah.
like that is essential for you to have that.
I would say that my support system has to be large and varied for all the different parts of me. That's something that I've talked about before, is that I do think, going back to my family of origin, I do think that I have big feelings. I show up loudly, and that can't all be one person's to hold. And so I do have a really great support system of friends, partner, lots of people in my life, but it does vary day to day who gets what part of me and what I go to for what person.
I'm glad you said that because I do think, I've seen this many times, whether personally and professionally, is that it can feel like this one person should be the go-to person for all
Mhm.
of the things, but in reality, it's like becomes off balance. It can become too much for any one person to be that go-to support person all of the time for everything for you.
Yeah, I think I've come to that realization more as a woman in my 40s, and I've had that conversation with a lot of my girlfriends that are women in their 40s, is that relying a lot on each other for things that maybe our partner doesn't have access to emotionally or can't provide has been a really positive experience. And it takes the pressure off of any one relationship being everything.
And I think it speaks to where we kind of started was that community aspect is having
Mhm.
that safety and connection and community is sounds like is part of what
Absolutely.
helps. Okay. So social media is a large part of your presence. You
Mhm.
share personally, as you've said, but you also speak professionally on your social media as well.
Mhm.
What helps you discern? So this is my personal story I'm going to share. Is it a personal thing for me to share here, or is it not? Is it all strategy that helps you figure out what you will and won't share personally online? Or is any of it also intuitively led, where it's just, this is not a part of any like strategy, but it's just on my heart to share within?
Yes. I want to say it's both and. So I'll unpack what you said. I do post in many places with strategies. I have multiple businesses. So I'm managing 4, maybe 5 Instagrams right now, and they're all my businesses. So there's a lot of strategy and thought into what goes into what bucket. But in terms of sharing my personal story, I share that on my personal Facebook, my personal Instagram. And sometimes I weave in elements of whatever it is that I'm working on that would be helpful to share. But sometimes it's just me and this need for me to share. I don't know if this is an experience that other people have, but I have been writing since I was 6 years old. I knew I wanted to be an author. I have stacks and stacks of journals, and there's just this feeling that comes up within me. Most of the time it's like a phrase, or I can imagine like what this is gonna like an outcome. And then I build around that, and it just has to come out. And I don't know how else to describe that, but sometimes it's just a story that has to come out. And I think other artists probably resonate with that in some way, whatever their art is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's beautiful. And I think that that can help a lot of people who can resonate with like, I have this expressive outlet and I want to share this part of myself in this personal way. And also, I have kids and I want to have boundaries about that and what I share. And then I have my businesses and I want to have boundaries about that when I share. So how do I figure out like what I'm going to share, where I'm going to share it is to almost see it maybe a bit as like buckets, like there's this bucket and this bucket and this bucket. Um, but then there's this respect for my inner voice and trusting when my intuition is saying this just needs to be shared, period.
Yeah, and I think I've become a lot more flexible with that lately as a seasoned therapist and as someone who's getting older. And, we're taught in graduate school to be a blank slate and, not be a full human and all that. I don't know if they still do that, but but that's what I learned. And then I wrote a book where I talk about my personal experience as a teenager who self-harmed, as being a parent of a teenager with mental health concerns, and teaching parents how to do better than my dad did. And so I've had a lot of feedback from that. That's thank you for making this accessible and real so that I can understand it in a different way. I think allowing ourselves to show up as who we are with boundaries, I don't share everything, is helpful to the people that we've chosen to serve or help, because we can connect on that human level. And I'm not like dumping my personal stuff in a therapy session with a client. There's a space for it. I like the word buckets that you used. It's figuring out what bucket it goes in.
Yeah. Would you describe yourself? So earlier you said this is just part of who I am. There's this discomfort with not saying what needs to be said. So would you describe yourself as someone who leans more towards conflict avoidant or conflict confronting, generally speaking?
Oh, interpersonally, I'm definitely a conflict avoidant. So I'm very much on that like fawn response end of things. And it's interesting you say that because I struggle a lot with this that, and my friends and family have heard me talk about there's professional Katie and there's personal Katie. See me walk into a room of 200 people, step on stage and give a speech. I'm perfectly comfortable with that. But if you put me in a room at a party to have small talk, I'm like anxious and shrinking into the corner. And so I think that there are these parts of myself, and perhaps they're like different personas. They're all me, but like there are parts of myself that I really feel confident and whole within, and there are other parts of myself that don't feel as self-assured.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that that probably validates a lot of things for a lot of people because we are multifaceted, right? And there are going to be areas of our lives where we feel more confident and areas of our lives we don't feel as much of that confidence, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And in fact, it's even normal for us, right, to feel different levels of confidence in different parts of our lives.
Right. And I go back to that idea of having the right environment. In DBT therapy, we call it like being a rose in a tulip garden or being a tulip in a rose garden. So you have to find your right garden. And I grew up in a garden with different flowers than I was. And so now at this point in my life, I'm very intentional about what space do I put myself in and what's really worth it in terms of my energy and emotional experience. So I might not choose to go to the party that ends at midnight and is really loud, and I have to try and discern conversations over loud music. I mean, also, I don't think I'm invited to a lot of those kinds of parties, but it's just an example. So just like choosing where you spend your energy and time, because what else is there? Why would I choose to put myself in situations that make me unhappy or miserable or cause me to ruminate for the rest of the night about what I said or didn't say and how that feels for me?
Mm, okay. You have shared that um, when you set yourself to a particular goal or vision or mission, and you feel really like passionate about it, you always hit that. Like it's
Mhm.
some may call that manifestation, like it comes manifest what it is you want to see happen.
Mhm.
Are there times, and I could totally resonate with that. I was totally like, yes, like I
Yeah.
got the 3-year goal, the 5-year goal, like, it's gonna happen, it happens, until I had my fourth and fifth and got like pregnancy induced insomnia, and now I'm tired all the time. And that's the season I'm in right now. But um, have there been times when you have gone through that process, you've got this clear vision, you've got this clear goal, and you're moving towards it and you're passionate about it, but something went awry or didn't go the way that you thought it would go? Are there times when you've had that experience as well?
All the time. And I think that so in that process of if I have a goal, I'm locked in and it's happening. And I could say it's a 3 or a 5 year goal, but it's more like a 6 month goal and it's going to happen most of the time. But I think what for me, it's this, it's the vision. I can see it, I can feel it, I know that it's there. I just keep moving towards it and it's going to happen. But I'm not as attached to things like logical timelines. One, because sometimes they're illogical in the sense of I can complete it so much faster. But two, I really think that that keeps people stuck in self-criticism or, it's not happening fast enough. So those kinds of things. When I was writing my first book, now I'm contracted for my second book. I don't know if I told you that, but so when I was writing my first book, in the middle of that was when my child started struggling a lot. And so the timeline that I had set for the finishing of, I wanted to be a published author by the time that I was 40. My book got published when I was 42. That's okay. It was a very loose, like, this would be a cool number of like, oh yes, some like a new decade, whatever. There was no other significance behind it. But I had to allow for life to happen and I had to be able to pivot because my priority was my family and my child. And And why would I write a book about being a good parent to then like dismiss my own child so I could write a book about being a good parent or an effective parent, not good or bad. So what I think is really important about setting goals, hitting goals, moving towards goals is that we're not so rigid to a timeline and that we're not so rigid to it's working or it's not working, because I don't think that's going to work. You know, we're balancing on top of a moving beach ball, and sometimes that's going to go sideways. So we need to be willing to go with it. And the way that I look at it is that all of the experiences that I had in that 2 year period then informed a better book than if I hadn't given that time to my family. So I always can make meaning of what happened, and I think that's the strength in it.
Yeah, and we're gonna make meaning anyway, right? So I might as well try to
Right.
make that helps us move towards the direction we want to move in. I mean, that just hits on so many things because that isn't just relevant to being a business owner or a consultant or a therapist, but it's super relevant to being a mom, to being a partner, to being a friend and family member, and even like a
Right.
citizen, right? That's showing up in the way that honors where you're at and what you're able to put forth at any given period of time. I totally so like I said, right now I just had my fourth and fifth babies like back to back.
Amazing.
And I'm done now. We have fifth final. I'm done, but I am very much in this mode of like I'm still nursing both of them. I'm still nursing both of them, and that my 27-month-old was just diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and that was completely unexpected. Like
Wow.
totally ripped the rug out from under us. Like it's a total huge learning curve for all of us. And I had, as I was coming back from this last maternity leave in the fall, which was about like 4 months ago now, I had these big plans, like this vision, my next like 1 to 5 years, because now I'm done having babies, right? So I'm done having maternity leaves and I can, focus on these new goals that I want to grow and scale in my businesses. And I am definitely having to pivot that because my family needs me, right? Like in a different
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
And it just does not feel aligned with my values to be like, oh, because I had these goals or because I said I would, or I always accomplish what I'm going to accomplish, that I have to be a stickler about this, that, and the
Exactly.
other. Yeah, like in my business, because my family needs me and my body needs me too. It needs like me to chill a little bit.
Right. Well, and I think part of what you're speaking to is something that I put words to a lot, and it's the grieving process of life not looking how you expected it to. And it sounds like that's even though you're led by your values, and of course you're going to be there for your child and your family and all of those things, there is that part of you that is still holding space for things not being the way. I'm speaking for you right now, but I'm probably speaking for myself. Like, my life raising a teenager, because I am a teen therapist, because I struggled as a teen, I really looked forward to raising my child in the teen years. And it's been wonderful and we connect and they're amazing. And it's been really, really hard in a way that I never imagined. Never, never crossed my mind that the way things are hard was going to be a part of my life. And so there is a part of me that grieves that. And there's a bigger part of me that's super proud of this amazing child that I have. But I think it's important to acknowledge, like I was the parent that on the soccer field called my child an asshole once, not to not to their face, but I was like, it's sorry, am I allowed to say asshole? Like in like being irreverent with just other parents, like, oh, like kids can be assholes sometimes. And they all looked at me like I had three heads. And I'm like, you've never thought that before? Am I really the only person that's thought that? So I guess what I'm trying to say is like we need to make space for all of these experiences, and that when we try to be perfect, whether it's online or whether it's in person, it's just not reality. And it's so much pressure. And I'm not here for that kind of pressure.
to to post on social media to the extent that you do as the modern day mom that you are, and this, I'm going to use air quotes around successful because we redefine success on this podcast, right? But as the outwardly successful um business owner and leader, like to be able to sit here and say there are all of these different parts of me and I can honor all of these different parts of me and my story, and I'm not striving for perfection. Like I can have some space for grace and I can have some space for things not going the way that I thought they would and pivoting, and like I can have space for those things. I think there's so much power to that. And I think that that is something that speaks to that unwavering realness.
Yeah.
that we started out with. Do you find that that is sometimes that your experience is that that is sometimes lacking in some of the spaces that you find yourself in?
I do, and I think it's exhausting to interact in those kinds of spaces where people are pretending to be perfect or afraid of making a mistake. And I like to think, we're all doing the best we can and we're learning to grow and change and do better. And when I'm seeing behaviors like that show up, it's probably for a reason and not my business to dig into because I'm not being paid to figure it out. So, but yes, I think that if we could drop some pretenses and just allow ourselves to be real and seen, that I'd have more engaging conversations with more people. But I know it's not easy for everyone. And so I don't know, it's cool to see it when authenticity shows up. And I think they're the type of people I like to surround myself with. But those surface level conversations and the perfectionism is just, even I could feel it in my body right now. I'm like, I want to like shower it off. I don't want to be around it.
Yeah, there's a heaviness to it for sure. And like I feel like a tension, a tightness
Yeah.
within it for sure. So in these last few moments that we have together on this episode, share with us folks that want to connect with you. They want to read your book. They want to stay in touch with what you're doing, what you're putting out in the world. Where can they find you?
Many different places. So I'll go through them. My counseling center in the state of Pennsylvania, creativehealingphilly.com. If you want to read my book, I have a website for that. It's youronfireitsfine.com, or you can find that where you buy books online. And if you're a therapist interested in coaching or consulting, you can go to visionarytherapist.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so, so much for being with us, for sharing with us. Do you have any last bits of advice or wisdom that you would like to share with anyone that might be tuning in today, trying to figure things out?
Yeah, there's a concept that I like to talk about. It's called the action result gap. And the basic idea is that we have this big goal or this vision for what we want, and we start taking action, but it doesn't happen fast enough. And then we give up or we stop or we think that it's not working. And just like to remind people it's not working until it's working. And all of these small drops in the bucket eventually start to overflow if you just keep going and you keep acting from your values and keep moving toward that thing that you want.
Thank you for sharing that. I have one last question for you before we log off for the day. 40 something now, Katie K. May versus 10 years ago, Katie K. May. Would you redefine what success is for you and your life as 40 something now as opposed to 10 years ago?
Yeah, so I just turned 43. And when I was 33, I would say that I was in the first few years of growing my group practice, was working all the time, all the time. Like morning when I sent my kid off to school until I went to bed at night, interspersed with dinner and some childcare. And I think that that is what was needed at the time to, I might do it differently now, knowing what I know now, but I do think that the grit and the hard work and the persistence was needed to grow what I wanted to grow. But I would say that redefining success means that it's not static, that what I do or how I engage with life or what I put into something changes as I change. And I really made a lot of intentional decisions in the past few years to refocus on my health and my family, and my business is just as successful and I'm able to sit back a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I would have been able to do that then. So I think my lesson in it is that it's fluid and it changes over time.
Fluid and changes. We don't need to stick with overwhelming rigidity, even
Yes,
sometimes we're told that we do.
exactly.
Love it. Thank you everyone for being with us today. I know that you enjoyed this amazing conversation with Katie. Check out her websites, head on over, stay connected with her. She's always putting out really thoughtful content on social media. And it's as she said, she has different places on Instagram and such where you can find her. So check her out over there. And if you want to join us on YouTube, you can check out the comments below and you can add any questions or any notes down there. Bye, everyone. Links related to this episode can be found in the show notes section. Want to submit questions about success, satisfaction, healing, and relationships, health, or work? You can do that free and anonymous at drtonywarner.com, where you'll find other resources there as well. Did you benefit from this episode? You can subscribe, like, and share with another to pass it on, because anyone can listen on the go with this podcast audio available on all major podcasting platforms.